everybody, and welcome to our BT Connect. And we're going to stand and do our flag salute. Can we do the roll call? Here.
Here.
This time will be the statement of public notice. This is a special meeting of the Board of Education of Williams Township. Notice of the time and place of this meeting is provided in copies of the resolution and forwarded to the official newspapers as designated by the Board of Education and the Township Clerk. A copy of the notice was posted in the bulletin board of the Board of Education offices in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 21A. We will do public comments at the very end when we share. And that will turn it over to Mr. Mahoney.
Okay, so we're going to transition a little bit because once board members can see long enough up here, you guys want to switch? Good? You can see? Okay. So if everybody can see, we'll stay right where we are. I just wanted to start off with thanking some folks who are going to be presenting tonight. Mr. Sean Beavers, our Director of IT, has been doing a series for families called Technically Speaking. And since this particular topic that is his third presentation is also part of our district goals, we made it a BT Connect meeting. Contributing also tonight will be our high school principal, Dr. Russ Lazovic. We also have one of our teachers here from the middle school, Joyce Jablonski, who's here with some of her students. And Kristen Fox and Steph also helped to create our presentation tonight, although they will not be speaking. So with that said, we'll kick off with Mr. Beavers. Thank you, Sean.
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I want to start off, I was thinking about, how can I introduce AI, or the basics of AI, or what is artificial intelligence? And I started thinking about one of my favorite shows was by Jack Candy. Everybody should know Jack Candy, Saturday Night Live. Like 3 people, that's great. Perfect. We were taking...
Can you hear me now? There we go. We were taking bets on who would actually remember who Jack Candy was or from SNL, but anyway. So this one is about mankind. The word mankind is actually made up of 2 words, which is mank and kind or ind. And so I was thinking, well, artificial intelligence is made of 2 words, which is artificial intelligence. So maybe in order to understand artificial intelligence, we have to look at the words themselves. But then I was thinking, maybe that's not the best approach. Maybe I should ask AI itself, so ask ChatGPT what it thinks artificial intelligence is, right? So this is a response it came up with. Artificial intelligence is when we teach computers to do things that normally need human thinking. This includes learning from experience, understanding what we say, recognizing what's in a picture, or making decisions like suggesting what movie you might enjoy. Thinking of it like having a very smart helper that can learn, reason, and solve problems, just like a person would, but inside a computer. So that's pretty good. I was like, what about if I could get ChatGPT to tell me in the simplest of terms what AI is if it was Jack Candy? And that's what this is. So I came up with this. I like to think of artificial intelligence as a little robot friend who can learn things all by itself, kind of like a curious toddler who never stops asking questions. Except this toddler can also drive a car, write a story about flying jelly beans, and plan your next vacation. It's both amazing and a little scary because once the robot friend figures out how to tie its own shoes, you have to wonder, is it also learning how to tie yours together? But that's AI for you, always learning, always growing, and hopefully not plotting to take over your sock drawer. So I was pretty blown away that it actually captured not only, this brief explanation of AI, but also the essence of Jack Candy. All right, so we're talking about tonight 2 different types of AI. One is regular AI, which everyone here should be familiar with or has a sense of what that is, and if not, I'm going to show you some examples. And then also generative AI. So regular AI is good at recognizing patterns in data, right? So it can recommend, it can analyze, and predict. Generative AI creates new content such as text, images, code, and music, and it does this by learning from large amounts of existing data. So we'll start with some examples of regular AI, search engines. I'm sure everyone's used a search engine in their travels here. And Google, Bing, doesn't matter, DuckDuckGo, they all are using AI to provide the best answers to your query, right? What about voice assistants? How many people have a voice assistant in their abode? All right. We have Google Assistant, and we pretty much use it for timer for baking. That is really what we use it 90% of the time for. Sometimes the weather, but then other things like trying to turn off lights, it's hit or miss. Right, but voice assistants is another example of regular AI. Recommendation systems, if you have a Netflix subscription or Spotify, right, when you log into Netflix, it's going to suggest, based on your previous history, things that you might enjoy watching, right? So if you like science fiction, or you like romance, or you like drama, it's going to bring those or surface those recommendations to the top of your queue. And the same thing with Spotify. Every week I get this Discover Weekly. I listen to that on my way to work, right? Based on the music that I like, it is making recommendations of other artists or songs that I might like. Navigation apps, also another example of regular AI. Right? If you use Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, anything like that, that is using the data to predict how quickly you're going to get to your location. It's also looking at historical data in terms of traffic to provide the best route. And photo tagging. For those of you who use maybe Apple Photos or Google Photos, it's crazy how it will pick out all the faces in your photos and then organize them by those individuals. Right, so what are some examples of generative AI? Obviously, ChatGPT, which many of you have probably heard of, and one of my favorites is Grammarly, which I use on a regular basis to compose emails, write letters, write to my mom. She's very special. I'm just kidding. She is special, though. But Grammarly, I was writing this email to Kristen and asking if she wanted to go to lunch. What it does is it's adapting to my tone, the way that I write, and making sure that I'm coming across in a friendly demeanor, and also looking at my grammar, looking at my sentence structure. How can I sound, more intelligent than I probably really am? Also, AI art platforms like Dolly in ChatGPT. So I came up with 2 prompts. One was a queen riding an ostrich playing croquet. I know, these are things I think about. And then also a blue whale playing chess with cats. Clearly, I'm not sure how the cats are surviving underwater, but they're there. And then personalized learning. Something like Conmigo, where I can use one of the tools to take a lesson or an objective from a lesson and think about how I can connect that to real-world applications. So my prompt was the order of operations for mathematics, and then looking at some activities it suggested, like looking at recipes, the order in which you have to put the recipe together, and then also a Lego model set. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lazovic for the next part of our presentation.
Good evening, everybody. So I want to kick my portion off with a little reminder. If you've been in district a while, Ms. Fox and I sent this letter in 2023 regarding AI and ChatGPT because we were having a deluge of students using it in what we consider the wrong way, which we're going to talk about now. But one of the things that was neat about the letter is that at the very bottom there was this postscript that basically let you know that the entire letter, for the most part, was written by ChatGPT. We had lots of comments about that. And so it's an incredibly powerful tool, and when we talk about using it in education, what we're really talking about is helping students understand that it's a powerful tool, one that can help in so many ways, but you have to connect the resources, increasing understanding for the students without having them replace their work with the work of the computer. Okay? It's having the computer help to make your work better, your understanding deeper, your connections stronger, not passing off the computer's work the way you pass off somebody else's work. So, One, just a quick exercise. Just show hands. How many people have used ChatGPT that are in the room? And this may not be too eye-opening. I know we're recording from home. Imagine your account. This is an assignment that you can find in middle school English class. All right. What I want to ask, I'm going to start with the adults. Is there a book that you remember from middle school really loving? You're not reading middle school before?
So, what I want to show everyone is how simple it is, and this is what our students are dealing with. But if I took this entire problem, if my middle school teacher gave me even more instruction on what to do with literally each paragraph, I could literally take everything here, go right to ChatGPT, I could paste it here, and I can change the book title to the giver. It's just longer title, so I went with shorter title. And it's writing my essay. Let me get out of the way. If you can see that, it's literally, oh, Grammarly is killing me. Can everyone see the essay coming up? Because here's the thing. If we don't like the essay, we can click Grammarly and it'll rewrite it for us in a different way. Do you see how fast it's writing? Five paragraph essay with language that I'm sure I can share it later. This is what was created while we were standing there and I was talking. This is how fast it goes. So I literally didn't even do any work. I took the prompt my teacher gave me. I copied and pasted it in. I changed the name of the book that I was reading, and it's done. Homework done. Think about it and spend more time on TikTok. So again, we talked about this idea that how do we help our students and ourselves not use it to replace our work and our thinking, but use it as a tool to increase it. This idea of the challenge that we're facing right now and some of the conversations that we're going to have. This idea of how do we convince them it's even worth doing the hard work and using AI, if possible, as a tool, and not using it to replace the supplementary work and everything. So, with that in mind, we have some real students who are here. I'm going to introduce Mr. Bonds. I can never say the name correctly. I can't call you Stead. Miss Stebronsky. Yes?
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and I'm so excited to have my students with me, because I think you're going to see what I hope that I've seen. This is an unbelievable, powerful tool to extend their thinking, be an incredible advancement in their writing, and I think it's going to shift education in the best way possible. I'm Jill Stebronsky. I'm a teacher at William Manning for 18 years. I'm an adjunct at Drew University. I'm a consultant for the National Writing Project. I am a researcher. I am a publisher, and I'm the founder of the Writing Club. I have some of my presenters here. They're each sitting at tables, and they'll be able to talk with you. And I got to go to this because I'm not used to that putting it. Can I go? Thanks. Okay, so one of the things the students are going to show you. Oh, I gotta be back like this far. Oh, yeah, sorry. I only have a couple of slides. So today's purpose really for me to have with you is to actually see the students from my classes and see how they're using it. I'm not used to that with the behind me. One, I'm gonna do this, okay? I really think if we listen to the research, then we'll be able to use AI in the right way. So the research, and this is the National Council of Teachers of English, and the National Council of Teachers of English guides a lot of what the standards are written for the United States. Oh, I hated that. I can't see what's coming next. And the NCTE implores us, even before AI came about, that we were to assess the process and not the product. Right? We want to grow skills and learners that can make mistakes, reflect on their mistakes, and learn from them. It asks us as teachers and for students to reflect on the choices that they make. It asks teachers and districts around the country to make sure that we give students authentic reasons to write so that they're not tempted to take the very generic prompt and put it into AI. Where are you asking for the students' thoughts? Where are you asking for them to be creative, independent thinker? And then it has warned us to be very careful about siloing writing into argumentative, persuasive, and narrative writing, because in the real world, writing is writing. And you could read an article in the New York Times, and it could have a piece that's narrative, and a piece that's persuasive, and a piece that would be informative. I'm always very guided by the research and then the data that happens into my classroom. The thing that I have found with AI, and I've been playing with AI for the last 3 years in my classroom, thanks to our administration to let me play and explore. In 18 years teaching reading and writing, never have I been able to do this particular thing. Now I am a National Writing Project Teacher Consultant. We are rooted in 250 universities around the country, always striving to figure out how to teach our students to be better writers. And we always would ask our students, if they were in a workshop, to think about, when you share your writing with somebody, what kind of feedback do you want? I'm trained in this. I've been doing it for many, many years, but I never could get my students to quite think at that level. Because they could ask something of their partners, but their partners couldn't always deliver the feedback. So there's two things that I love about AI. It forces them to think deeply about how they want to prompt the AI so that they can get the feedback. The feedback is immediate, and then when they see the feedback, if they don't like it, it makes them go back to generate a better prompt. I have never been able to get to my students to get to that level ever before in 18 years. And the other thing I do think it is going to do, in a really great and exciting way, is it is going to force and change education so that we don't have assignments where students are not asked to use their thinking, not asked to create or synthesize their thoughts. And I think that's a good shift that's probably been waiting to happen. I think we can thank AI for that. I'm going to bring up my students. They're going to show you very briefly a way that they've been using AI in my classroom. They are playing around with a site called Writing Partners. It's still in pilot form. But the thing I love about Writing Partners is it forces them to upload their writing first. And then they have some partners that they can look at. We call them writing thinking partners. Or they can create a writing thinking partner. They're going to show you different assignments that I've had in my class. I really do try to create a classroom that is inquiry and project-based, where every assignment has an audience that's not me. Whether it's the New York Times contest, whether it's Stossel in the classroom, whether we're going to write a TED Talk, whether we're going to write a podcast for NPR, we're going to do something for the authentic reasons so that the message that they're writing about has an audience and there is a vested interest. All right, when you see your Name, come on up. See ya. You feel good? Thank you.
So,
She's going to explain some things, and after, the students at their table actually have copies of the partner they created, of the feedback they got from AI, and their reaction to this. So you can kind of summarize it, and then afterwards at the tables, we actually have printouts of every single student that's been presented. We have a couple extra students here to help us out.
Hi, my name is Sia Malay. I'm a student. So for this, I use my English narrative that I did this year. So my English narrative is basically about
Don't worry about it.
okay. So my English narrative is basically about a girl that has a lot of inner conflicts in a survival game show because she lost her best friend. So I used a writing partner called Shirley Jackson, which is an author based on horror. She writes about horror, and basically my writing partner basically mimics her, and it adds more horror and more suspense into the story. The purpose of this writing partner is to add signposts, literacy devices, horror, and then try to edit your story or whatever writing piece you use within 25 bullet points. So some of the feedback that it gave me was to add more character development and like an inner conflict to her, and because I wasn't able to, like once the AI writing partner saw the writing piece that I used, they saw that like, I did not have a lot of character development for my main character, but also like I was telling what she felt, how she was, and not showing it, which could really bore the reader. And my reaction to this was like, I thought it was really helpful because I lost a lot of points from from telling what the reader about my character more than showing it. So like, I think if I use this like in future writing pieces, so like it would be more better for me, more beneficial for me to add the gain points again, but also like enhance my writing for a high school.
Just so you know, all these assignments, some are from my class, some are from other classes.
Hi, my name is Grace, and what I want to talk about is my speech and
Can you go back there?
So I was given a prompt in speech to prove that ocean exploration is more beneficial to society than space exploration. But the problem was I had 3 arguments. So I had 3 arguments, but the problem was that so I created an AI partner. My AI partner is called the Argument Analyzer. It's a unit that will give me feedback on my arguments. And I wanted it to do 3 things. I wanted to look through my arguments. I wanted it to spell my strong viewpoints. I also wanted it to give me areas that I could improve on. And I wanted it to tell me my strongest and worst argument. And because I want AI to be something that I can observe and learn from, I asked it to tell me why it thought all of these things. I told me these. I gave my strengths, my weaknesses, and my areas of improvement. And I really liked how the areas of improvement directly target my weaknesses. And I also think it expanded my knowledge on the subject a lot. They mentioned current issues, they mentioned current technology. And that's my second argument. I really liked how there was so many different points for each argument. It really showed that it's not just a linear formula. It needs feedback. It's actually looking through my arguments. It's telling me what I need to improve on. So for this one, I liked how they told me how, I like that it told me how my argument could conflict with ethical and economical considerations. I liked how it told me that there are many points that could be used against me, and it prompted me to explore the points that could be used against me so that I could defend against them, which is very different. This is my last argument, and all the feedback it gave me. And it told me to ensure my points are based in research and to give specific cases, all which are also important in debate and want to have a proper base. And it told me to offer points that not only build my own case and my own argument, but that could be used to attack the other side, which I didn't think about, and this was eye-opening. But unfortunately, I found over and over again that it just wouldn't give me examples of topics that I could look into or cases that I could look into. But next time I use AI, I will be sure to ask more topics and things. Thank you.
So my name is Hannah, I'm an 8th grade student, and I decided to use writing partners to create to create a writing partner that would analyze my TED Talk script for me that I created for the class. And for me, it was very important that I knew a writing partner because I wanted to make sure that the script had a lot of impact. I wanted to make sure it was organized and clear enough for the audience to understand. So my writing partner is called the Organizing and Formatting Writing Partner. It was designed to read your text and give you feedback on ideas that may not be clear enough for the audience to understand. So similar to an interactive audience simulator. And it improves the structure of your writing. So it's more clear. So the feedback it gave me was this. It explained exactly where his thoughts were and to make things more smooth and make sure the ideas were flowing to one another. So that's a consistency in the document where two of my topics jumped too quickly and needed to make sure that it was smoothly transitioning from one topic to another. And my reactions to the AI feedback is very helpful. I'm personally an organized person, and I like to make sure that the audience is also able to understand the ideas that I'm trying to put out there. And it was helpful how this writing partner gave me suggestions on exactly where I needed to make my improvements and where I need to switch topics to.
grade student at Yale's. And I use the writing partner for my book thought journal, which is basically when you read a book and then you write about deeper thoughts about the book and themes in the book that you thought about. So that's just like an example. I wrote about one of the books that I read during the year and just like symbolism things that I noticed in the book. But I created a writing partner because I sometimes struggle with organization in my work and repetitiveness. So I named my partner the Clipchamp pal, and I said as a description for it, this writing partner is a partner who will be specific about details and replacement of words and repetitiveness. And I also did little things that I added to make sure that it was personalized to me and other people that would want to use it by saying that it would talk at 8th grade level and it would be like kind of casual and like light instead of going into like deeper concepts and like deeper vocabulary. And also telling the reader when to cut sentences or make them shorter, and also making them less boring to readers. The feedback from my journal was to like basically simplify some sentences in my work that seemed to be going on. And also, for my closing sentence, it showed me ways on how to successfully close off my paragraph in my writing successfully, which I also sometimes struggle with. And so my feedback or my reaction to it was that I found it very helpful since, as I said, I tend to be sometimes more messy when I'm writing, when I just jot my thoughts down instead of finding strong words and sentences to explain it. And I think that like a very important part of all of this is the fact that writing partners is very different from other AI programs that people tend to use, like ChatGPT, and it rather gives suggestions instead of just writing exactly what it wants you to say or kind of taking away from your writing that mistakes or things that you wouldn't usually want the AI to do it will kind of critique it in a different way. And even though sometimes it will change your writing and give you straight up suggestions that anybody could copy and paste in their work, it doesn't do the whole thing for you, and it kind of just teaches you, even if you don't use the sentence that they explain, it shows you ways that you can change your writing for the better.
Hi, my name is Talia, and I use AI to help me with my 100-word memoir. So, my 100-word memoir was about one of my favorite philosophy, but when she was being left out, and I felt like this was really important and I wanted to learn about it. So, I made a writing partner to help me with it, and it's called the Elaboration Code. And I wanted it to find specific areas where I could expand my imagery and add more description. And it also helped me find sentences that were repetitive and found words that were commonly used that I could get rid of. I also wanted it to speak to me like a friend because I found that I learn more from criticism when someone's talking to me like a friend, but when I talk to my friends, they're too scared to point out flaws in my writing. So, a few things that I really liked. So, the first thing is that it made me focus on how my writing wasn't very descriptive and how I could add more description things like that. So, for example, I described how digital cameras were flashing, but they told me that I could consider describing the flashes themselves and how they illuminated people's faces. And I really liked the word illuminate, so I added that into my writing, and I also described how the flashes were illuminating people's faces. And the second thing that I really liked, probably my favorite thing that it did, it asked me questions, so I asked it to ask me questions. And the questions that it asked me were really good because they made me think about what point I wanted to get through my memoir and what emotions I wanted to portray through it. So I really liked the questions because it made me think about what I wanted to add and what I wanted to change. I could do that. And the last thing was that it just told me that a lot of my sentences were short and that my piece kind of sounded choppy. And so it gave me examples and helped me figure out how I could combine sentences to make my memoir flow more easily. And by the end, I was really happily surprised because it was a lot easier to read. So overall, I think that it gave me really good ideas, and it gave me a lot of examples, and I loved how it asked me questions. But I still obviously had to figure out what I wanted to use and how I could add that into my writing.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm a student at Lens. And I asked my writing partner to elaborate and add a guiding thought to my inquiry journal. So my inquiry journal, an inquiry journal is basically just a journal where you can really write about your thoughts and observations on a source. So my source that I used was a TED Talk, and I put in my ideas and what I thought about the TED Talk, and generally what came to my mind when after I watched the TED Talk. So I created a writing partner, and it was called the Inspire Bot because it helps me inspire, gives me inspiration. And I generally want to review through a person's thoughts and create a set of questions that I can use to further enhance my writing and just improve it, and also elaborate on what I was talking about, what were some of the topics that came up while I was doing my inquiry journal. And I also asked it to give me other topics that I could write about and link it in order to keep writing. And I want to get writing partner to talk to me like it's a philosopher, questioning everything that I've said, questioning what I mean by this and how much I could go on to it, and also give me thoughts, and get me out of a writer's slump. So my reaction to it, I was really happy with with the questions, because you can see that it gave me so many more questions, so I could really write more. And along with the questions, it gave me questions related to the questions, so I could really actually write so much more and really get to my full potential, which I feel like is really important when I was writing in my inquiry journal. And I generally think it's really helpful because it really does push you and gives you sparks to help you improve your writing.
Last one.
So, I was having meetings every week. So, basically, what I used to help with So, this is an excerpt. This is and it's as opposed to kind of and that's why I created a writing partner. I need to express and search for that asks, that's basically, I asked it to be, told me to, it's basically the pacing of that is the transition to one seconds later. So play, few sentences, petition, or presentation. And I thought it was very useful. And I kind of specified that I was reading into repetition. It's still on other stuff too, but other stuff also it's not that person.
So, and I don't know what our direction, how we're going to do this, but at some point on the tables is the AI writing partner that each student created, the feedback that they received, and then their reaction to it. And this is just the tiniest sampling of what AI can do. What I find really powerful as a teacher is when I have 20 students writing 20 different podcasts or 20 different TED Talks or 20 different narratives. They can specifically create that writing partner, and they grow in their level of thinking about how to write that generative prompt. And getting that immediate feedback, like I said, oftentimes the people that are in the group, right, even I have a gentleman writing a TED Talk, honestly, about the liability insurance in the police in New York City. I said, make your partner an insurance guy, make sure he's a risk manager, and why don't you also have him be a New York police officer? So there is so much power in how it can stretch their thinking and stretch their writing, as long as, like I said, we really have to create classrooms where the students' thoughts are at the center. And I do think AI is going to push us to do that. And I'll let the kids answer questions for you because I think they know a lot and I'll be around. So, back to, yep.
Okay, so first of all, thanks to all of our middle school students that came to present tonight. Did a great job. You were very brave coming out and sharing on a really new topic. So thank you guys for doing that. Did a super job, Jill. Thanks for preparing them to come and speak tonight. So kind of moving along a little bit here from a policy perspective, as you can tell, you know, from all of the different things that Mr. Beavers kind of described relative to AI, how it is already a tool that all of us are using in our everyday lives, and now we're getting into the generative aspects of AI and the way it can be a tool in the classroom. As with most policy writing as it relates to technology, we're always playing a little bit of catch-up. So one of the things that I think is really important as we think about policy writing for the Board of Ed, for our students, our staff, and families in this area, is to make sure we have the input of everybody involved, right? So that's kind of part of what this opportunity is. We know that, as Ms. Stedronsky shared with us, it's a powerful tool for her in helping her students, and other teachers as well are finding ways to help their students using some of the tools that are available to them. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of the good things that it can offer to help our students grow. So we need a lot of input from our students and our staff, as well as families, as we think about what might work well for us as far as policy is concerned. So we are in the draft phase right now, working with the Board of Ed Policy Committee on trying to come up with some language for board policy as it relates to AI in education. And we recognize that really it is so new and fluid and something that we see changing very rapidly that from a policy writing perspective, it probably makes sense to think about something that is a plan more so than an actual Board of Ed policy that goes through multiple readings every time we need to make an adjustment. So from a board policy perspective, what I've introduced as a draft idea is a policy that describes the elements that a plan, a working plan for families, students, and teachers, what it should include, okay? And so we started having some conversation about that recently at a Board of Ed policy committee meeting. And these are, in a nutshell, I tried to kind of look at a lot of the issues and narrow it down to sort of the 5 biggest buckets as it relates to what should be included in an AI plan, right? So you want to have some clear guidelines for the guardrails, the guide rails, for how AI can be used or may be used with students and staff. And a lot of that has to do with what tools that you make available from the very get-go, right? I mean, we have tons of technology tools and software platforms that students and staff are using, and we have a way of vetting those and approving them. So that's a key component in this as well, is that we make sure that we take the time to look at what it is in terms of tools that people want to use and vet those and make sure that they're compliant with all of the safety precautions associated with technology tools. Describing what the rules are for students and staff, making sure families know and staff members might give an assignment. Can I use AI? Can I not use AI? Is it an AI partner? How is it a partner helping me think, not replacing my own thinking and doing all the work for me, right? So being able to have those kinds of conversations with students that we got some nice examples of tonight is really important. Obviously, when it comes to AI, using it incorrectly to replace your thinking and represent your own work with that's the work of a machine can be an issue in terms of academic integrity, right? So we want to make sure that everybody understands that that could be problematic as it relates to board policies about cheating and academic integrity, consequences for misusing computer networks and software. So we need to make sure people understand that as well, and communicating that to the kids and the staff and families is really important. So that should be part of the plan. How do we document or cite the use of AI? What are the resources for doing that? Include that in the plan. And obviously making sure that everybody knows what the plan is, having an annual notice, just like we do in the summertime. Did you get the student-parent code of conduct handbook, right? Summer sign-off on that. Same thing for an AI plan, and making sure it's available for everybody as it might get updates and edits along the way, making that clear when those edits occur, and posting it somewhere on our website. It's really easy for people to find so we can stay up to date. So this is a work in progress for the Board of Ed. One of our goals this year is to try to get this policy finished by the end of the year. So we'll continue to work on that, update the board and the community as we report out in our policy committee reports at our board meetings. Back to you, Dr. Thanks.
Mr. Marquez? We want to get you all talking, so I'm going to go really fast, which is nothing new, I guess, for me. Wonderful job, Ms. Stefanski. As you can see from the students using this as a thought partner, which is what we want. Wanted to point out a couple of things that obviously we are aware of and trying to address and will come up in topic as we talk today. Some of the dangers, this idea of what is fake. Been made fun of for this one, but this is Ridge High School, if you've never seen it from a helicopter. This is it. The problem is, and I'm going to go quickly, if you watch right up here, I took off the 500 and the 700 lane. I did that, it took me 15 seconds. Okay, and I did it with a tool that we used to build this presentation, not a tool that's actually built to modify graphics the same way. And in 15 seconds, I'm sorry, Board of Education, we're really short classrooms now, because it took literally the entire wing right off. So first thing we just want to point out very quickly is obviously you have to be aware of what people can do with this tool. The other piece we want to talk about, though, this actually is a technical term, hallucination. Oftentimes, depending on the platform that you're on, it will do its best to answer your question no matter what. Even if it doesn't have an answer, it will make one up. And so just because the computer's giving you information, oftentimes the New York Times columnist researched a French philosopher from the 1800s using the computer. They printed out this unbelievable bio with links and pictures and everything else. The person never existed. But it was doing its best to come up with an answer to the question that the journalist asked. And so we have to be careful not just with what we use this for and what we produce, because we can be very creative, but what it gives us when we ask it for help. So those pieces there. So again, this idea of what is real. Real artwork, and real what other people are sharing, plus also what's real when the computer's giving us information. Is it actual information? So in order to help, we have a document that is started, but is a work in progress. It's a handbook for families. Okay, you can use the QR code. If you have it, it will take you to the handbook. The handbook includes how to build a prompt, how to use this as a thought partner, as opposed to producing work that you then substitute for your own. Really what it has is a lot of suggestions with what Ms. S and her students are doing in their classes now, which is using these different platforms as a thought partner. And that's what we really want to promote here. We're going to get to questions for discussion, but the idea is that how do you work with your children so that they're able to learn to use this tool in an appropriate way, and that they still come to you and more importantly go to themselves, which is what they're doing in class. Every time they get something back, they're thinking about it. So, Mr. Mark, can you introduce the conversation?
No. So as we normally do with our BT Connect meetings, we like to kind of share out what it is that we're seeking some input on, and give you some ideas of exactly what it is that we're talking about. Hopefully that came across with the information that the staff and students shared tonight. And then we like to try to get some input. So we set up our tables. We ask that you kind of sit in groups. Board members will circulate. I'll come around. We usually have some discussion with administrators, kids, families, and staff. And we ask that you make some notes to some of our prompting questions. And we usually let that go for tonight, maybe about 15 or 20 minutes. And then ask people to share out some of their thoughts as a way to have some public comment with respect to these topics. So we're going to leave these questions up on the screen tonight. And we'll call the group back together when it sounds like people have maybe finished talking about these questions or other thoughts that you may have. Obviously, they don't have to be directly related to these. If you have other ideas, please make notes. We keep it simple. We don't worry about crashing technology. You make some paper pencil notes. We take all of that back at the end of the night, and we create minutes from our meeting, taking all of your thoughts and comments, and creating a document that we include in the minutes of tonight's meeting. So if you have ideas, even if they don't get spoken, but you make notes on the papers there, we'll make sure to include those in the minutes of tonight's meeting. So we'll call you back together, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll all get around and have a little chat. Thank you.
All right, I need a favor. See what happens when you're too good? What happens when you're too good?
Challenge, man. I gotta start making it sound like a mess. It's not like they're going to hold things. Right.
engineering
That's true.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, I hear things kind of getting a little quiet, so I think you got the good stuff out of your system. So, usually what we do is we just take an opportunity to kind of pass the mic, so to speak, and let each people maybe share a couple of ideas that they had, maybe in response to something that they saw in the presentation, or in response to one of the questions that you might have discussed at the tables. If other people have already shared the same types of things that you had in mind to share, that's fine. You can just add a new idea that your table might have talked about. If it gets to your table and everybody covered your ideas, that's fine. We can just pass the mic. So maybe I'll start kind of at the back here. We'll just work our way forward. Does anybody want to speak from back here? Have any ideas you want to share? AI thoughts? I can take your notes, Okay. Come on. Okay. Here you go.
So we have some suggestions or questions about how the curriculum is currently defined as school districts. So I think there's echo the point that Jill just mentioned in her presentation when she was talking about writing, how when we teach kids writing, it's in real life you don't actually write just argumentative writing or narrative writing, but yet from my son just went through elementary school, is in Rams right now. I know that's still the way that it was taught at an early age, how to write. So we were just thinking that with the development, if we can start incorporating some kind of introductory curriculum at elementary school to teach the kids how to use AI tools, and specifically in the way how they can write useful prompts to make the feedback more helpful, safer, more controlled, restrictive kind of feedback. So I think prompt engineering, which is the professional term, right? It's how you actually write prompts to get more useful answers. That can be introduced, I think, earlier in elementary school. So that's one of the suggestions on how on the curriculum. And then we also talked about in the classroom how this can be used, and we were talking about like for math, right? There was a great suggestion. Like if the student is doing homework and they get a question wrong, can we use AI tool to say, well, give me 5 similar problems on the same topic, so they get more drills instead of doing a fixed set of questions, right? Just get more personalized help. And then, because we have the principal here, we also talked about school districts looking into products that are available to make that available as a whole ecosystem with the necessary safeguard in place and introduced as a whole ecosystem. So it has a plan of how this can be gradually introduced to all the different grades in our school district. And on that topic, knowing that it could be very expensive and it could take a long time, and we're thinking if it can start with small pilots like the research group that Jill was doing, or after school clubs and stuff, as a way of gathering more data and exposing kids to the AI tools. And the last point we have is, with the AI tool, we were discussing if it's possible with AI helping. Is it possible to free up more time for the teachers so they have more in-person interaction than having to provide feedback to each of the student by relying on AI to say, give the student feedback, and then they can actually have more face-to-face time, like more inclusive discussion. So
that's basically the topics.
Thank you very much. Any thoughts from table number 9?
So we spoke about how AI can help in daily life as well as in work or school. So in daily life, it was mostly for personal things like vacation planning, budgeting, or like Google is also a form of AI, so asking general questions. In work and school, it's more in financing, accounting. You can find patterns in data, and it helps with writing in almost every area, especially brainstorming, because you can come up with a ton of ideas where you can spin your ideas off of. We came up with some of the challenges of AI as well, and students in school can use AI as their own ideas. And a solution we came up with for this is if a teacher notices that a student has turned in a paper that is written purely by AI, they would have consequences for using AI to write a paper. And with clarity and hallucination, as well as fear of the unknown, the students need to be taught properly how to use AI. That way they're using it in a safe way and it can benefit them. Most of the teachers as well who've been here for a long time, they would need help learning how to use the AI so they can teach their students. So with workshops, students can teach their parents as well to make sure that their parents know that they're using AI in a safe way. And whether you can use AI or not also depends on the type of assignment that a teacher may give students, because some assignments require AI that can check over your work, but in a case where an assignment is asking you to give your thoughts on something from your opinion, AI can't tell you your opinion, so that would be something a student would have to do on their own, as opposed to asking AI to do it for them. And their teachers can also use AI to create lesson plans. And there's a moral line for everyone where they would know if they're doing something that the district would not approve, or if they're doing something that could potentially cause them to have consequences or fall behind in their classes. And we should always lead with curiosity and not fear when we're thinking about using AI, because it's ultimately we're trying to find a safe way to use it so it can benefit people.
Okay, tough act to follow.
You guys have any? You took the words out of my mouth. Very tough act to follow. How are we using AI in our daily lives? We heard from Raga here. She uses AI to improve the writing process, pushes her in her thinking with developing her approach to essay writing. Mr. Beavers and I were talking about AI is useful for us in our work, collating data, summarizing data. If we have large swaths of information, how do we condense it, synthesize information to produce something that we can share out. What should schools be teaching students about AI? We're thinking about AI could be a good thought partner, as you heard from the students here this evening. Students seem to be open to hearing the feedback that it offers and constructive criticism. It helps everybody in improving their ability to provide feedback potentially is something that we think about. Challenges that we were thinking about were, getting students to a point where they can distinguish between AI gives you information, but it should be information that you think about. It's not information that you reproduce and turn into your own. And helping students navigate that is a challenge that we foresee, as well as the hallucinations that Dr. Lazovic referred to before, and helping students navigate. This is output.
can you determine what's fact and what's fiction? How do you delineate that? So that's a challenge that we're going to have to navigate, particularly in social studies. What recommendations will we make for district policy? I think we were all in agreement here about helping teachers and students delineate useful and appropriate use of AI from inappropriate use of AI. We were talking about this over the summer with some curriculum writing work that we were doing. You know, appropriate use would be AI as thought partner, and inappropriate use would be AI as thought creator, right? Using thoughts to replace your own. So kind of parsing that out a little bit and providing some guidelines, but also providing flexibility because we know this stuff is going to change over the course of several years. So I think that covered hopefully most of what we talked about.
Thank you. You guys have some thoughts at this end? Thanks.
In the interest of time, I'm just going to try and bring students to it. All of us AI regular is kind of having to touch into something that everyone else shared. What schools should be teaching regarding AI? So this table is the advanced table. We have parents here representing that's like available stuff. So they are on one end of the spectrum. So bringing the rest of us along for the ride. There was an emphasis on how to understand and use AI at the grade level, appropriateness. In the suggested progression, K-12 would be to understand AI, like what is it, use it, and then after that, understand the background underpinnings of what you are using and breaking that down as like a K-5 or 6 to 8 or 9 to 12. Also, like using AI, it's a tool like anything else. And it's a life skill for success in college and career, and usually all one goes, great college placements and there's career placements. We have FinLit. I would suggest that we do a digital competency course, speaking for a parent of a junior and a senior. It's a tool, like we're supposed to be preparing for life, so this is part of life. Challenges that we looked at include varying parental experience and our comfort level with AI. Do parents understand, like what your kid is doing versus like, oh, you're taking the easy way out. This is a new tool. They're supposed to be using it. So definitely need for a parent education component, and also, similarly, an educational component training for staff. And how the question how the district handles such a large shift in the pay, typewriters to computers or whatever, and take a look at how that worked and are there learnings to move forward to help use this transition for our hard-working staff. We went to the other side. We had recommendations regarding policy. So there was a suggestion for piloting implementation at each of the grade levels, 5, 8, 9, 12, and taking those learnings forward for implementation on a broader scale. And also just a cautionary tale with regard to policy. So we had a student who said that she, in the feedback with her learning partner, there was a word eliminate, and so she liked that and used that. So being able to distinguish between the AI is doing the work for them versus like an actual learning moment, which is what we just witnessed, and how to not squash creativity and actual growth. For something that's not. There's something. All right. Thank you.
Most of the stuff they said is just the great thing that came out was these tools are available 24/7, so there's always that opportunity to back to students and parents can work together. And the other kind of big thing was how the school is going to help multiple daily topics, so that you just don't get the answer, but that you don't have to use that just talking about how the schools are
So like how everybody said that they use like AI capabilities of life, like you just use like teachers use it for like lesson plans, and like the students use it for like writing or like something related to their studies. One of the questions we had like how do you use like how would like classes and like in elementary school we have classes with like, computers and everything, but like when it comes to like middle school, we don't have like classes teaching about like AI or like coding or like not like proper coding or anything like that. So like our question was like how can we incorporate it down in middle school? Because at elementary school we have it, but at middle school we don't. Like, another question we had was like relate AI to screen time because like some kids depend, like some kids like, use it like whenever they need to, and some kids use it use too much in school. So like our question was like how can we reduce our screen time with AI too? But like the challenges we saw was like it could adapt too much to our life. Like we use it maybe a little too much. And it knows a lot about us. Like one of someone at our table mentioned like whenever he takes his test, like it automatically knows like he's going to work. So like that's like one of the problems we have is like AI knows a lot about us. But like also students like in our age, like 8th grade, like middle school, like they're somewhat mature to know like how to use it and like how not to use it. But like these kids like still use it for like cutting corners and like everything. But like what we said was mostly what the other table said too.
Sure.
Any of my students need to text mom or dad, or if they're waiting, you're allowed to take your phone out and text mom or dad.
Right, so just to respect everyone's time, we usually try to wrap these up around 8:30 for our BT Connect meetings. Obviously, we had some really great contributions from the kids tonight, and that pushed us a little bit longer. So certainly, if any kids need to go, make sure you're communicating with your parents and get home safely, okay? On that note, I'll keep it real quick. So I think one of the things we talked about, a lot of teachers said, we said we really liked that, come with a plan rather than a specific policy because AI has changed so rapidly. We talked about training, and one of the things we were worried about is just, just the blanket banning sites. So there's no data injection into it. That's for other AI sets. That's probably very problematic because in many cases they can't use very well. It's just kids, staff, parents that don't know this about it.
We basically just talked about how like times when we use AI and also just to kind of educate ourselves about it. So like even in jobs and like outside meetings, we use it to like review emails or we can like fix our grammar when we have to write something, even if it's just a casual thing. And we were also talking about how too much help from AI is possible, and it's important for students to talk to each other as well along with the AI. And so we kind of recommended, like, for the school also using like, AI checkers as we already do, and discussing how it affects students' education. And basically just like investigating different AIs and like reading books and like finding ways to educate yourself about it.
Okay, I like it. Balance. Right? You can have too much of everything maybe. Anything from this time? All right, I caught you earlier. You want to add one more thing? Gotta get the last word in?
So we also talked about how AI is such a big fear, mostly because people use it wrong. But I think we need to think about why people might misuse AI. And I believe that most students, they want to understand the course material. And the reason they might use AI is because they don't have any other way of understanding it. So then you find a shortcut. But if we can use AI to help us understand the course material, I think that would solve the problem.
It's like a battle. It's like a microphone battle. All right, last one.
So like we were like, one of the tables mentioned about like banning, like I know like on our school computers like a lot of things are blocked, like apparently like a bunch of the games where like eventually students are gonna find ways to like use it again and like share it with others. So like I don't think we could just worsen the fact that like if you block something, I think it's making it worse like rather than helping us.
Okay, we're going to go until 8:45.
Just one concern that if we use AI to like writing partner, so would that be like a student will never have the ability to write article independently? That's just one concern. Just we can all think about that. Yeah, in case that when the model that there's no power, there's no Wi-Fi, okay, just yeah. Yeah, it could happen. So we still have to build the ability to write independently, and of course we can use the help of AI, and then go to the next level. And then, but we still have to build it.
All right, thanks very much. And just to kind of end on that note, we had, as I was listening, there was some conversations I heard and I was involved in terms of that difference between sort of developmental, formative learning versus demonstrating understanding on your own at the end, and the ability of students to be able to do that, and using AI along the way as a tool to help them learn and build and develop the skills of, say, writing, to the point where then they get to an assignment and maybe they have to demonstrate understanding on their own, to do something like we're doing here. Just in case we lose power, Wi-Fi, and technology, we still have a piece of paper and a pencil, and we can demonstrate understanding of how to create a piece of writing. So I think it's a really good point, and one that I know all of our teachers are sensitive to as well. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for staying a little later than we normally do for BT Connects. Make sure you leave us your notes. If you took notes on a separate piece of paper and you want to leave them on top of the yellow pieces. And we just need a motion to adjourn from Ms. White, seconded by Mr. Molinari. Thanks, guys, very much.